Hey, what's up guys and girls? Hurricane Liz here, back for another video, and this time we focus on what is working on Walmart again in terms of getting our store approved in order to sell on their platform. And I think you guys and girls are going to be surprised at what me and Kevin have found out after submitting dozens and dozens of applications. Here is what works on Walmart now. So we've got that and a heck of a lot more, so I'm super fired up. I hope you're fired up. Let's go and do this. All right, so I'm back with Kevin again, and this time around, we're going to talk about the Walmart application process, which, man, I got to say this, it's become like, it's such a mystery now, Kevin. It's almost like one of the most difficult application processes ever. And we talked about the fact that a noob now is probably 100% going to get rejected. And that's because you mentioned that Walmart wants to know that you have some sort of online presence. So let's go to start talking about the application process. Let's talk about my personal history with the application process, Kevin's personal history about the application process. Let's just talk about a bunch of stuff. Let's bring up the first thing. Let's talk about the fact that the application process of, say, a year ago is completely different from the application process of right now. So let's talk about that. Why do you think that Walmart has changed what they want now on their application, Kevin?
Yeah, I think Walmart is probably getting a little bit more selective just to maintain. I think they're a little bit, obviously they're a newer platform when it comes to third-party sellers. So I think they just want to control, they just want to make sure that the people coming on are experienced and, you know, they're going to be able to service Walmart customers properly, right? So I think that's pretty much the simple answer of why they're becoming more and more strict. I think they've reached sort of like a quota of sellers, and they don't want to let just anyone in just yet. They want to start, you know, limiting people to say, hey, I want to find, you know, more experienced individuals and businesses now.
Right. I want to say, I think that a lot of this happened because of COVID, to be quite honest. I feel that both Amazon and Walmart hit levels of just sales that were so insane. And it was very evident in our Amazon dropshipping stores that we had when COVID just started. I can remember that when COVID came around, I was like, oh shit, what is going to happen? We're going to lose a lot of money. We're probably going to end up not making that much money. We're going to be screwed because people were already talking about, oh my God, people are going to tighten up. People don't have money. But then the opposite thing happened if you had an e-commerce present. People just don't want to leave their house. So as a result, I think the influx of sellers on both Amazon and Walmart, it was just such a high level of demand that I think they started to tighten up what they wanted for in sellers, because it was pretty evident because Amazon started requiring the Zoom call, which was something that they never had before. So they obviously, Amazon tightened up what they wanted with their sellers, and I think Walmart followed suit. And so as a result, the qualifications that you have to have in order to get onto Walmart have gotten more and more difficult. Let's talk about one such thing. In the past, I think you've been on a couple of my videos, Kevin, where I recommend that people put a third-party website. And one of the ways that I recommend that they do that, if they didn't have an e-com presence, is to just put an e-commerce agency site. So I actually submitted 2 applications. One was with a Shopify store that was a legitimate brand, had sold millions of dollars on Amazon. I put my Amazon URL, I put my Shopify store. I got rejected. The second application was with a brand that I'd never sold a single thing on Amazon. I put an agency site and boom, I got an approval. What was your first experience when you submitted your Walmart application? And then after that, we'll talk about what we think is working right now, which is a big thing. We think it's working.
Yeah. So I've probably submitted, like, I said in a previous video, the past couple of months, I submitted like 10 plus applications, right? I'll tell you about my initial experience. My first ever Amazon application, I actually put my personal Facebook advertising agency website on there, and it got rejected. My second application, which got through, I simply put my Walmart dropshipping storefront, and it got through. Those were, you know, I guess you call those the good old days.
That's like the opposite of what I did, actually. And I got the other way around.
Yeah. It's pretty insane. Like, my agency got rejected, but my dropshipping site got approved, right? So that, when I say good old days, I mean, realistically, that was like not even a year ago. That was probably like 7 months ago, right? But now in the past couple of months, we have thrown so many applications in, putting on so many variations of stuff that we kind of have, I think, a better idea of what they want. And it really is to, again, at the end of the day, they want to see that you have e-commerce experience. So that's one of the biggest things that we've gone through. So let you take the lead on like how detailed, or how much time we have to get into details.
Yeah, I think that it's just really fascinating. Like one of the things that it got me thinking about just on this call right here is that I don't even know if they have a rhyme or reason at the time that we applied, let's just say it was a year ago, as to whether or not you would be approved. Because here was a brand that I was selling like millions of dollars on, got approved or got disapproved. And then here's the crazy thing. Months later, I got a random email from Walmart saying, oh, we decided to approve you.
Right.
Even though here, and I did send an email that were like, oh, could you tell me the reasoning why I was disapproved? And 3-4 months later, they randomly contacted me, and the response was like, oh, we decided to approve you after all.
Yeah.
So I think that before it was a little more random. However, I want to say that since COVID, as I said earlier, I think they've become more formulaic. At least I hope they have. And that's where we want to get into is how formulaic do we think they've become? Is there a certain set of standards that you have to have, a certain set of qualifications they want to see in your application in order to say like, yes, welcome to Walmart. So that's kind of what we're going to get in. And let's talk about the most obvious one, the fact that do you believe that we need a legitimate e-commerce brand presence, a website where you're actually selling goods on? Do you think that is an absolute requirement? And can that presence just be an Amazon store?
I do believe it is 100% required to show that you have some type of e-commerce experience. At this time, I do not believe a Amazon store is enough, right? I think that you have to show some other like property on the internet to say, hey, this is your brand.
Are there any products that Walmart is absolutely dying to have on their site? So say, for example, if somebody has pet products versus if you sell perfumes and or cell phone products, is there any type of products that you've heard are an absolute almost green light, you're in Walmart, welcome to Sam's Club?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't know the specific answer to that. But what I can tell you is that I don't know what it is, but I can tell you what it's not. So I don't think it's toys, right? I've been hearing some things about, hey, like toys are a really good niche that Walmart's going to drop you onto. Toys, we've submitted a few applications with toys and they have not gone on. But at the end of the day, if you have a phenomenal toy brand, I think you will get accepted. But, if you just have a mediocre toy brand, probably not going to get accepted, right? I think, there's definitely been hints out there with cell phone accessories getting accepted. I actually am pretty bullish on that. I think that cell phone accessories are a good bet for you to get accepted. But at the end of the day, it's a black box. We don't know for sure. But what I can tell you is toys might not be it.
Great. Okay. Well, that's good to know. How about what things do you think are an absolute necessity? Like obviously there's parts of the Walmart application that you have to enter information, but which parts that are optional? I think there's some parts that are optional, or what parts in general must people have in order to get onto Walmart? Like, do I need a DUNS number, or what are some of the other ones that are an absolute must?
Yeah, so I think first thing, absolute must is articles of incorporation, right? Your EIN letter from the IRS is a must. DUNS number, Walmart says it's optional, but I personally think it's a must. The signed W-9 form. So we alluded to this in the past. I forgot to sign it. Definitely sign the W-9. That's definitely a must, right? Another thing I would say. It is optional per Walmart that I don't think is optional is that actually putting a warehouse address, right? To symbolize like, hey, that you are a real e-commerce brand or you are, a real retailer / merchant. So I actually think that Walmart optional slot is actually a must. So those are the tips that I have, when it comes to your application.
Now, Kevin, how important is it that it has to be your warehouse address? Like, what if you your friend's warehouse address that might have used it on the Walmart application process. Is that something that must be your address, or can you just randomly pick one out of the phone book?
Yeah, that's a kind of a gray area. If it's your friend's address, like by all means, I think you should be good to go. But I'm gonna leave it up to the audience's creativity to think whether or not to grab it out of the phone book is okay.
Yeah, I'm one that always like tries to do experiments. Like, I mean, you've obviously put together a ton of applications. It took a ton of time and effort in putting together EIN letters and stuff like that. Anything else people need to pay attention to when they do submit an application? Like, is there any secret sauce, or is it just, I almost feel like it's luck of the draw, Kevin. Like, I almost feel, I don't even think Walmart knows what they want, really.
Yeah, so I would say another tip that I have just in closing is that you probably don't want to submit an application using a Gmail address or like a Hotmail or a Yahoo, email address, right? That kind of shows that, why would a real business use a Gmail account? I'm not saying G Suite, right? G Suite is completely different when you have a domain, email address, but why would a legitimate business be, Kevin@gmail.com, right?
Right. And that's a great point. Let me ask you one last thing and then we'll close in that. And what do you think of if somebody uses their personal address? Like, obviously in the past, I think you got through with a personal address. I believe I got through with a business address, so I didn't even try my personal one. But if I was to submit another application, should I be using my personal address, or should I get at least a PO box or some sort of like business address?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I would say depending, like you could put your return address or like business as a home address, but I think you should always supplement it with like a warehouse address. So if you have a business address, obviously that's much better than a residential address. But I don't think a residential address is actually a deal breaker.
Sweet. Awesome. Well, you guys heard it here. As we said before, times have changed. Walmart's gotten a lot more stringent with their applications. I would try and collect all this information as fast as I can if I really wanted to get on Walmart, because heaven only knows how much more stringent they're going to get. And we'll see what happens as time goes on. But if you have not jumped on into the Walmart bandwagon, you should start thinking about it, because it is paying off very handsomely. And those that are in there already, there's not as much competition as if you're doing Amazon and drop shipping. So other than that, just thank Kevin below in the comments. Ask your questions. I always make sure to get those answered. And other than that, Kevin, thanks so much for being on this video. We'll see you very soon.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Liz.